In this video we are going to test 4 of the best 30-watt laser engravers currently on the market. We will take a deep dive and look at the Sculpfun S30 Ultra, Longer Laser B1, the Acmer Laser P2 and the Atomstack Maker X30 Pro. All of them feature hexa-diode laser modules and are advertised to output 33 watts of optical power. We will measure their true optical output power and we are going to put them through a range of practical tests to see which one performs the best at laser engraving and cutting plywood of various thicknesses. We are going to test their mechanical stability and precision, and we will also going to measure their laser spot size. We will also test how well they perform at engraving and cutting acrylic, marking stainless steel, and see how well they retain their focus at different distances. And we will also test how well they cut very thick pieces of wood. Stay tuned, and you will see which one is the best for your next project. First, let's take a closer look at each of them and see the similarities and differences between their features and ease of use. The Sculpfun S30 Ultra can be bought in 3 different power configurations, the 11, 22 and 33 watts of power. Here I have tested the most powerful version. The Sculpfun S30 Ultra has the largest frame of all of them, having a working area of 60 centimeters on each axis. Here is how its size compares to its little brother, the Sculpfun S30 Pro Max. It is a big machine, filling the size gap between standard size and buying the extension kit. Interestingly, its laser module is smaller than the one from the 20-watt S30 Pro Max. Smaller and lighter laser head is great for high-speed engraving, but because of the smaller size, the cooling fan is louder. It features a robust-looking air assist nozzle with a narrow opening, which is great for cutting performance. For the purpose of these tests, I have removed the safety protection shield so you can easily see what is being cut. On the top of the module is the upgraded high-power connector which feeds this powerful laser module. Focusing the module is quick, using the included focusing spacer and screws at the back. The Sculpfun S30 Ultra laser engraver also features an automatic air assist pump, which can be enabled automatically when needed using the software. The air hose is also upgraded as it is no longer prone to deforming. It has a high-quality control panel with wireless connectivity and a quality emergency stop switch. It also has a locking key, which is a great safety feature for preventing kids and unauthorized people from using the machine. It has standard limit switches and has an industrial sliding rail on the X-axis for greater engraving precision. In the package you also get 2 steel plates for protecting the working surface, and you also get a generous piece of plywood so you can start engraving right away. You also get all the necessary tools for maintenance and cleaning. And you get a spare replacement lens, which is a very desirable feature, as the replaceable lens will keep the machine working in top condition for much longer. You also get these metal posts, and you can use them as a simple honeycomb alternative, because if the material is raised above surface, it allows the smoke to escape below. This is essential for good laser cutting performance when using air assist. You can also buy a proper honeycomb if you want. Sculpfun offers a variety of different sized honeycombs to choose from. They also sell a lot of different accessories like rotary rollers, enclosures, and much more. With the Atomstack Maker X30 Pro, you will get a bit more accessories in the package. You also get a rotary roller and simple machine risers which come in handy when using the rotary tool. You also get a spare lens, which is great. The machine also comes with a small honeycomb and a reasonably thick steel plate for protecting your workbench. First, let's clarify that there is no difference between the Atomstack Maker A30, X30 and S30. They are all the same machine with the same laser module and accessories, just the color of the frame is different. The Atomstack has a very nice looking air assist pump which has a speed controller which comes very useful. But the air assist pump does not offer automatic software control like on all other machines in this test. With the machine you also get a rotary roller and machine riser blocks. It also comes with a support for engraving on longer objects like bottles. And it also comes with 2 support rollers for using the rotary system as a feed-through roller for longboards, but I think using it like this will be very difficult. The honeycomb has these holding clips which are useful for straightening warped boards for engraving, but a big downside for this system is that you need to be careful that the laser head does not hit them after the engraving is completed and the laser head returns to the home position. You also get these magnets for fixing the material, but they are very weak. I normally use strong neodymium magnets I bought online which do a much better job and there is no danger of laser head hitting them. The laser module is relatively big and has a removable light shield which is nice. The laser module is focused by this spacer. It can be used with or without a light shield attached to the module. Thanks to the easily reachable tightening screw, the focusing is done quick and easy. The air assist tube is nice and flexible and is not prone to blocking when bent. The laser module has an integrated air assist pass-through for a cleaner look. The module has a clever air assist design with this dual nozzle system. The inner nozzle is blowing out the air pumped by the air assist pump, and the outer nozzle collects the air which is blown by the module's cooling fan and concentrates it around the inner nozzle. This prevents the smoke from entering the inner nozzle and making the lens dirty when not using the air assist while engraving. This laser also has a replaceable lens which is great. Like all the previous versions of the Atomstack, this one also features the same offline touchscreen controller. You can export the G-code from Lightburn or LaserGRBL and run it from the SD card without the use of computer. Using the controller, you can perform basic tasks like framing and positioning and adjusting the engraving parameters in real time. It comes in handy if you are engraving the same designs frequently. The longer B1 laser engraver has a bit different mechanical construction compared to the Sculpfun and Atomstack. They took an independent design route which is nice to see. It still features rollers on all axes, but the metal parts have a different construction design. We will see if this type of frame will be more stable later, when I will show you the performance test results. The control panel consists of an emergency switch, a power button, key lock, a wireless antenna at the back and a red LED. It also has a USB connector, memory card slot and a telephone connector which I currently don't know what it is used for. If you happen to know what this is used for, leave a comment below. The machine also has good limit switches, and inside the frame, there is a simple fire sensor and tilt sensor, which detects in case the machine is tilted and immediately turns off the laser beam for protecting the user. It comes with an automatic air assist pump which plugs in the control panel and can be turned on via the control software. The included tube is nice and flexible and hard to get blocked. The air assist outlet is very small. We will see if it affects performance. Air assist also comes with this valve which is great for regulating the airflow. It is good to reduce the airflow for better engraving results. The laser head is quite large and comes with a removable light protection shield which is great. The light shield offers great visibility. The air assist opening is relatively large compared to the air hose. Later we will see if this affects the performance. At the back, there is a swiveling focusing arm which is easily extended for quick focus adjustment. The downside is that the laser module height adjustment screw is very small and placed close to the bridge, and it is not very convenient to reach. The laser module has a replaceable lens and also comes with a spare one. One interesting thing I have noticed is that this machine has a very slow homing speed, but on the other hand, the free travel speed is very fast. Acmer is trying very hard to become the best laser engraving brand, and the Acmer P2 is their newest machine. The Acmer P2 laser engraver has industrial linear bearings on all axes, which is something I wished to see on a laser engraver for a quite long time. It is a much more advanced, reliable and precise mechanism which puts it ahead of other machines. But when I was assembling the frame, I noticed that it is quite difficult to correctly align the frame for everything to be nice and square. Unlike the other machines, there is nothing that would tighten the frame to the correct alignment. This is vital for achieving great precision and repeatability of the parts you make with it. Another downside I noticed was the belt tensioning roller. The tightening mechanism is not well designed, and if you want to correctly tighten the belts, the copper washer starts pressing on the bearing and a lot of friction is created and the axis becomes hard to move. I was informed that the production units will come pre-assembled, so you should not experience these issues. The limit switches look good, and at the back you have a conveniently placed connector and selector switch for connecting the rotary attachment. The machine also has a flame sensor and wireless connectivity. The Acmer P2 also comes with a basic rotary attachment and machine risers. The rotary tool is similar to the Atomstacks, although the rotary system seems to be easier to adjust, but it lacks the adjustment range compared to the one from Sculpfun. The laser module is quite small and has an integrated light shield which offers good visibility. It uses the same high current connector as the Sculpfun, which is nice. The air assist nozzle is nice and small. The Acmer P2 features an automatic air assist pump which can be controlled via software. The pump is much lighter and smaller than others, but it specifies almost the same airflow as others. You can also order their more powerful C4 pump for better cutting performance. The air hose is very stiff and I don't like it very much. It is hard to get blocked while bending, but it is also not very convenient to use because due to its stiffness, it does not want to stay in place. The module is focused by extending the swiveling arm and by releasing the very convenient and easy to use module tightening lever. The focusing system is almost the same as on the X-Tool D1 Pro 40 watt, which I have tested previously. The module has a replaceable lens and comes with 2 spare lenses, which is awesome. Now it's time to start with the actual performance tests. The first test on the list is measuring the true optical output power. All 4 machines claim to output 33 watts of optical power. The Sculpfun's output reached almost 34 watts, Atomstack and Longer have outputted only approximately 29 watts, and the Acmer has put out approximately 31 watts. This means that the clear winner is the Sculpfun, which is the only one which can stand behind the claimed 33 watts of optical power output. Next, I performed my plywood engraving test with all 4 machines. I have used the test pattern I have previously used for the 40-watt X-Tool D1 to see how these hexadiode machines compare to the X-Tool's octadiode laser module when engraving plywood. The power scale test will show us how the machine performs when engraving at different speeds and power levels. The interval test in horizontal and vertical direction shows us how fill density affects the engraving quality. The photo engraving will show how good is the machine at engraving bitmap photos at different power levels. You can download all my test files on my website hobbylasercutters.com, link in the video description. We can see that the Sculpfun and Atomstack performed very similarly in all categories. The engravings made with Acmer were much darker at higher power levels, which is great, but at the same time, they were also looking much lighter at lower power levels. One important thing I noticed is that the Atomstack doesn't really reach high speeds. Acmer appears to move significantly faster. You need to take this into consideration when looking at the results. The performance of the Longer B1 was the weakest amongst all of them as it performed a bit worse, both at low and at high power levels. But as expected, all these lasers performed worse, compared to the X-Tool D1 40-watt octadiode laser module, which has a lot more power. But the X-Tool is in a much higher price class, and you can't compare them directly. If you want to read more about these tests, visit my website hobbylasercutters.com where I posted test results of dozens of laser engravers. Link in the video description. Next, I performed my standard anodized aluminum engraving test. The engravings on anodized aluminum become very crisp and clear, and they can be used for measuring the laser spot size and evaluate the mechanical stability of the machine at different engraving speeds. The pattern consists of small text engravings which will show us how precisely you can engrave small and delicate designs. The 3 squares are engraved at different speeds ranging from 100 to 10,000 millimeters per minute, to see how stable is the machine when engraving at higher speed. And the main feature of the test is the interval test in horizontal and vertical direction, in which simple shapes are filled with lines which get progressively spaced apart in 0.05 mm intervals. This is a simple way of measuring the laser spot size and shape. We will need a microscope to evaluate the results. In the small text engraving test, the clear winner is the Acmer P2, as it appears to have the smallest laser spot. Later we will see if this will translate to better cutting performance. At low speed engraving, the Acmer seems to be the most precise. At medium speed, they all performed similarly as the Acmer started to develop some small oscillations. And at high speed, the Longer B1 appears to be the most stable and the Acmer has the fastest acceleration. If we compare Sculpfun and Atomstack, the Sculpfun did a very good job, considering that its working area is more than twice the surface area of the other 3. And the bigger the machine, the less precise it will be. The interval test showed us that both the Sculpfun S30 Ultra and Atomstack maker A30 Pro have the same laser spot size. Longer B1 appears to have the largest, and Acmer P2 has the smallest focus spot size. We will see how this affects their cutting ability, but first we need to test how well these lasers retain their focus at greater distance. I have set up my standard focus distance test, which tests how well the machine retains its focus at greater distances. To test this, I focus the machine optimally and engrave the first part with 0 mm, which represents the optimal focus. Then, I keep removing 3 mm acrylic plates from underneath the material one by one, without readjusting the focus. This way we can see how the laser spot will look inside thick materials when they are being cut. The bigger the laser spot, the worse the machine will perform at cutting thick materials. Sculpfun and Atomstack are in the lead here, since their focus spot retains its focus much better than Longer or Acmer. Despite Acmer having the smallest focus spot at optimal focus, its laser beam also diverges more rapidly. This should suggest that it will not be as good at cutting thick materials as other machines. To test this assumption, I have performed my standard plywood cutting test, which tests the machine's cutting performance at cutting plywood at different speeds and numbers of passes. I have tested all 4 laser engravers with 3 mm and 6 mm thick poplar plywood. Looking at the cutting results with the thin 3 mm boards, we can see that Acmer performed the best, which is not surprising as it has the smallest focus spot. Sculpfun and Longer were closely behind it. The Atomstack performed almost the same as Sculpfun. I have also noticed that the Longer leaves more smoke stains on the surface, which is probably due to the air assist having a very narrow tube. With thicker 6 mm board, the results are quite different. The Acmer lost the lead because its focus spot diverges quickly, and it performed the same as Longer. Now the Sculpfun and Atomstack are leading. This proves our prediction we made when looking at the focus distance test results. Sculpfun and Atomstack also produced the least amount of smoke stains. Then I went to cut 10 mm thick poplar plywood at 2 different speeds. At 300 mm per minute, all of them were able to cut through in one pass, although Acmer just barely did it. At 600 mm per minute, Sculpfun and Atomstack needed 2 passes, Longer needed 3, and Acmer took 4 passes to cut through. When cutting material this thick, a less diverging beam will cut significantly better, which is why Acmer performed much worse, although it was the best at cutting 3 mm plywood. Looking at the results, the cuts look very similar with lower speed. But when cutting with higher speed, the cuts made with Sculpfun and Atomstack look much cleaner as they needed less passes. Now let's see how these machines can cut black acrylic sheets. First, I tested them with 3 mm thick acrylic. Sculpfun was first. Looking at the result, it took approximately 1.5 passes, as the first pass has already cut 2/3 through the material. The Atomstack needed exactly 2 passes to cut through. One thing to notice is that its cutting ability varies a lot if we compare vertical and horizontal cutting direction, which was not the case with Sculpfun. Longer B1 and Acmer P2 also took 2 passes. The results show us that they are both equally good for cutting 3 mm thick colored acrylic. Then I went to cut a much thicker 10 mm acrylic. Sculpfun needed 7 passes, Atomstack and Longer needed 8, and Acmer needed 14 passes. Acmer struggled a bit cutting in one direction, and the result is not as good looking, but the other 3 machines have left a decent edge. It is worth noting that blue diode lasers can't cut transparent or white acrylic. They can only cut colored plastics. No matter their power or setting, they will not be able to cut transparent stuff. If you want to cut transparent, you will need a CO2 laser like the X30 P2, which I reviewed in my last video. Now let's try to cut some thick stuff. First, I will try to cut through this 18 mm thick spruce wood with a speed of 600 mm per minute. For this purpose, I lowered each laser head as low as possible and set the air assist to full speed to maximize the cutting performance. Looking at the results, we can see that the Sculpfun has produced the cleanest cut, the Atomstack was second, longer, and the Acmer have produced similar results and have produced a bit more charring than others. I have also cut out some big letters where we will be able to see the results in a practical way. Letter S was made with Sculpfun. Letter A, with Atomstack. Letter L with longer. And letter C with Acmer. They came out great. Then I pushed them through their limits by cutting 36mm thick spruce plank. The Sculpfun was able to cut through in approximately 12 passes, but a small part in the middle, where the growth rings are, was not cut through cleanly. Atomstack, Longer and Acmer were unable to cut through. I have let them try cutting for 50 passes and no progress was made beyond that point. For example, the 40-watt X-Tool D1 was able to cleanly cut through in 7 passes. The last test on the list was the stainless steel engraving test. Each laser engraved its name at a very slow speed of 200 mm per minute, and the line below was engraved with 1000 mm per minute to see if the speed affects the engraving performance. Looking at the results, we can see that they all did a great job. Maybe the Atomstack and Longer produced slightly darker engravings at higher speed. Sculpfun is the best for thicker materials with clean cutting and high power output. Has a large frame for bigger designs, stable industrial sliding rail on X-axis. One downside, loud fan. Atomstack comes with many accessories and a good air assist pump which is sadly not automatic. It is a slower machine, with average power output and no industrial sliding rails. Otherwise, it is a good overall performer. Longer isn't strongest in engraving or cutting, has larger laser spot size and average power output. Stable frame even without linear sliding rails. The air assist nozzle is improved in production units which should make it perform better. Acmer has the smallest laser spot size and above average power output which makes it the best cutter for thinner materials. Has a weak but silent air assist pump but offers stronger C4 pump for thicker materials. Great at laser engraving with deep contrast on wood. Fastest acceleration with industrial linear sliding rails on all axes. Production units should be pre-assembled and free of experienced mechanical issues. In conclusion, the Sculpfun laser cutter demonstrates the best overall cutting performance, closely followed by the Atomstack. While the Acmer laser cutter performs the best at cutting thinner materials, it falls behind when cutting thicker stuff, but it makes up for that with the best engraving performance and speed. Both Sculpfun and Atomstack boast efficient air assists, while the Longer and Acmer models have a bit weaker system, which can be easily upgraded. Sculpfun and Acmer have an optical power output greater than 30 watts while the other two did not perform as well. Each laser cutter in this review has its own set of strengths and weaknesses, with different features and designs that may attract or discourage users. I hope that this comprehensive review has helped you in determining the laser cutter that best aligns with your specific needs and requirements. If you like this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe for more.